So the name constant change, I think, enmeshes really well with agility, which is a big frame in your life and in your professional world. And you speak often about the agility mindset. And you've also penned an agility manifesto, which is fascinating. So, why do you believe agility is so critical to establishing a rewarding and successful career?
I would like to answer that question, Dan, based on what we all experienced this past year. We had big change, such a big change that we've basically accelerated our future. If you are not agile and and adaptable and able to keep up with change and respond to it and navigate in and around it, it's going to be tough for you to be employed, to keep up with your skills. And it's going to be tough for you as a mindset if you don't open yourself up to the uncertainty that happens with change. Because with the uncertainty comes great opportunities, as evidenced by the number of companies that have sprung up and the changes that we've adapted to as a society and as a business environment.
So you talk about the pandemic, and yes, that was a moment when we poured gasoline on the future. um, we the pandemic uh, got us to the future a lot quicker than would have happened if we didn't have a pandemic. That's right. But still, people are resistant to change. And why is that? And why do we need to get people to embrace agility?
You're asking such a timeless question, and I would like to go back to the 1960s. Elizabeth
I know a lot
Kubler-Ross.
of people who would like to go back to the 1960s.
Yeah, for a lot of different reasons. But in the 1960s, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross came up with her grieving process, which today is known as the change curve. And it's when people are struggling with something, their tendency and their inclination is to dig their feet in the ground and to not move and to stagnate for at least a short bit. And then they go into a slump. So the change curve starts higher and then it goes into the depths of depression and resistance. And this is applicable when there's IT integration within your organization. People do the same thing. And at some point, you figure out what it is that you have to do to adapt to this change, and not just to adapt to it, but make the best advantage of it. And this is when things like technology integration within an organization start to swim. And then the operative word is we integrate it into our life. So the answer to your question is, it is human nature to resist change. We want to fight it for a lot. Some of us are a little bit more inclined to adapt to change, but like the growth mindset that Carol Dweck preaches, it can be learned. This can be cultivated to adapt. And if organizations don't adapt, they're going to end up being like Kodak and Nokia and BlackBerry and a bunch of other companies that really are either out of business or are a shell of their former selves.